Hello, my name is Mercury, and welcome to this brand new episode of Media with A. Today, I'm alone, and today I'll be discussing the first season of Secret Level. Fucking said today twice. I'm gonna kill myself. Anyways, yeah, first season of Secret Level. Secret Level released December of last year, and it's different from all of the other video game adaptations we've covered previously. I have a problem repeating words. This series isn't so much an actual. It's a series, but it's not a continuous. You probably fucking know what Secret Level is. It's an anthology. It's an anthology of short episodes, and I do mean short episodes, chronicling different video game franchises from throughout the years. And yeah, it came out, and I think I wasn't planning on covering it initially because I didn't know if it counted as one, but according to Wikipedia it does, so I'm going to count it. I watched it, but I decided to just. I also didn't cover trailers because there was never a trailer that released in a timely manner. So, whoops. But yeah, Secret Level. So, a lot of franchises here. A lot of them I haven't played. I will be fucking for real. A lot of them I have not played. Some of them are a bit weird. A bit weird to have been chosen. But, yeah. It's weird. This series, going into it, was a bit of a weird like feeling. I didn't know what to think about this series. I liked the concept, of course. I think giving a lot of video game series not exactly like a full on show, but definitely a platform to see if an adaptation of it would work, I think is an interesting concept, and I feel like that, and it was welcomed. I felt like it was welcomed. However, I will talk about this later, but the things that they chose, I have my problems with, I think. So, yeah, there's a lot like that. I didn't think there's a lot like writing on this series. Really, I think it was at most going to be a pretty well done like anthology series, and anthologies aren't like how aren't a thing we really cover on Media with A. It would be kind of it would be what if was a fucking anthology, but it's not. But anyways, yeah, we don't really cover anthology, so I changed it up a bit for this show, how we're gonna tackle it. But yeah, just full discrepancy, I've not played a lot of these games, and I do want to play some. I do not want to play some others. I will be real, but yeah, I sort of I looked at the list and games that they like when it was coming out, I looked at the list of games that they wanted to put in there, and I was like really weirded out. I will talk about that later, but yeah. So I thought it was an interesting concept going into it. Did it work? We'll find out. I know I'm a bit late, and I did watch this very late. I watched it. I finished like a week ago or something. But like a week or two ago, something like that. But what I saw from when the series came out was that people didn't really like it. There were mixed opinions on it, and I could attribute that to it being that a lot of the games that were shown off here, or that were included, weren't what people wanted to see. And I will talk up again. That'll be a segment of its own. But yeah, and also some of the writing, and I do agree with some of the episodes are a bit weak. I I will agree some of the episodes are a bit weak, and some of the episodes that are weak are really really sad. I thought that like it kind of like, oh man, like that was like that was really weak, and I didn't know like what to really think about it. But now I do, and I want to give it like a fair chance. So yeah, and you know, it's season one. Season two could definitely improve on the things that were wrong with the show. Again, talk about that later. But yeah, so how did the first season of Secret Level do? Let's get into it. So, well, we already start off with the animation and action. So, I will admit the animation in this show is really really good in pretty much every episode. I love how this show managed to capture a lot of the feel of every game, and even the ones that were, I will admit, not the most faithful adaptation, but definitely a different take on the video game. I felt like it was still animated pretty well, it was in it was style and it was well styled. I liked it a lot, and the animation never really faltered. I think the show really, really, really leaned on to the hyper realistic animation. That is something that is very apparent in the show. A lot of its episodes, I can name a lot of them that use this super hyper realistic form of animation. There's only like a few that don't use it. To my recollection, there's a few that don't use it, and I think the ones that don't use it are the ones that look the best. There are still some really really good set pieces here. The ones that I'm really talking about are Sifu, Pac-Man, Mega Man, and Spelunky. Those episodes are the only ones that don't use the hyper realistic style, and they look the best to me. I think Sifu is captured really well. I think Pac-Man, even though it's a really weird take on Pac-Man, I think it the its style works really well for what they were going for. Mega Man looks like a very modern take on Mega Man, to be honest, but I think it works and it definitely captures the characters well. And Spelunky, I think it's the best one. The ones that look cartoon-esque, and I do really like that. I like how vibrant it is. But it's not to say that all the other shows don't look really good. I think the others look really good. But it's like the same art style a lot of time, the same like colors and all that, and how the characters look. It's like scanned. It's like face scanned models and all that stuff of like real actors. That's a lot of the games that we see here. But yeah, and the action in the show, where there is action, I love it. Especially, I think my favorite two episodes. My favorite two episodes of this entire show are the Warhammer episode and the Armored Core episode. I think those have incredible action sequences. It is really really good. I love it. I love how fast paced they are. I love the scene in the Warhammer episode where it's like completely dark and the only thing lighting it up is the bioluminescent blood of like the enemies there. That's so cool. And how Armored Core is like very fast paced. I think it does that really well. I think the animation action in this show are superb. Sifu also has really good action. And I love how stylized it. Again, love how Sifu looks. I think Sifu's my third favorite out of all of the games showcased in this show. But yeah, no, just want to say really short because I don't know what more to say. But yeah, I think all of the shows, a lot of the episodes look really cool. My only real complaint is that I think a lot of the shows really lean into the hyper realistic. A lot of the episodes really leaning to the hyper realistic style, and that's true of my favorites like Warhammer. And well, Warhammer's less so. Warhammer's more like stylized realism, because obviously the Ultramarines or Space Marines don't look like real people, but like Armored Core even like it uses that style. Some of my least favorite episodes like the Exodus one, uh, and Crossfire. Eh, I'll talk about that later. To be honest, but like a lot of them do fall into this trap, and I think that's why some of them are my least favorite. Like for example, Crossfire and Exodus, and PlayStation to a degree. I think the PlayStation One, it uses that same style and all that, but I think it looks a bit dull. Crossfire is, I think PlayStation is my least favorite. I can talk about that later. But Crossfire, I think, looks the worst because it's just animated like that, and I know that the animation department in for this series is the one that made Love, Death, and Robots, which is like that. But I feel like that works only. I think that style works best when you pair it with supernatural things, and it's made to look supernatural. But I like the Crossfire episode to me looks the most dull because of that, because because it's just realistic. It's just gray and more gray. They're in a storm, so it looks like so. And there's like the people like it's not it. It's just like RB Man and all that stuff. I think that one looks the most dull, and that one's my least favorite looking one. And I feel like the PlayStation One just looks a bit generic, to be completely honest. And Exodus is, I think the Exodus episode is just too dark. Not in like themes or anything, just the fact that the episode itself is just dark. Like the episode looks very, very, very dark. And I don't know. I feel like that's probably part of the style of that game. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know. I didn't like how that one looked, but I think a lot of them do look good. But I feel like that's not like a complaint of the animation. I think the animation in those episodes is pretty good. It's just how they look to me, especially when other episodes in this show, which are some of my favorites, and I think are better, have the same style. I think it's just my complaint that this show uses a lot of that style. And I think like that's maybe why some of these games were chosen, because they could easily get away with that style. I think an episode that makes it work really well was the Armored Core one, obviously, and on the Unreal Tournament one, where it's a lot more futuristic. It has like the robots, it has like the other aliens and all that. I think that one works really well. And this might sound a bit this might sound a bit blasphemous, but I feel like the Concord one, in style, not in like actual like what the characters look like and all that stuff, but I feel like how they use that sort of animation to make it a little more vibrant looks well. I think it works, but we'll get to Concord later. I feel like that's like the only positive I can really give Concord, is that it looks bright, and that helps ease the repetitiveness of the animation style that they went with a lot of these episodes. So yeah, that's really what I'll say about the animation. Let's move on to what they adapted. This show has a lot of characters. I'm not going to get into all of them, because that'll be a lot. I'll get to that in the plots section. But I want to touch over what games they chose to adapt, because I feel like that's important to talk about, and how they adapted them. Well, yeah, and like what I really think about like what they chose. So I'm not gonna say, oh, who they should have chosen this, they should have chosen that. I'm just going to go over how they did it, and like what they chose and how they did it, and kind of go and just kind of sort over that. So first up is Dungeons and Dragons. Not really a video game. It's not really a video game, but I understand why they chose Dungeons and Dragons. It's because Dungeons and Dragons has a lot of ways to adapt it. It's not, and the fact that Dungeons and Dragons has a lot of, it has a lot of, it's had a lot of impact in the gaming industry as a whole. What Dungeons and Dragons did, or just back I'm saying D&D for short, is that it's like the first really big tabletop role playing game. It's probably what inspired a lot of the role playing games, the RPGs that we have today. Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, Pokemon, like stuff like that. Like a lot of the really Xenoblade. I think that's an RPG. I'm not fucking sure. I'm gonna give me a second. Xenoblade. Persona. That one's I know what that one is. Yeah, like a lot of these games, all these role playing games that we know today, probably came from elements. It probably used elements from Dungeons and Dragons or D&D. So I understand why they chose D&D. The only problem with D&D is that, like I said, like it's the problem with D&D is both how you can adapt it, and that's the same problem it has. Like that's its pro and its con. There is a way to adapt D&D, and I feel like that was especially shown in the movie Honor Among Thieves, which came out I think the year before this show. I did watch a movie. I thought the movie was good, but that one showed that you could adapt Dungeons and Dragons one way. This is definitely another, and yeah, like I like obviously it's a bit hard because D&D is a type of tabletop role playing game where the actions of the characters are randomly. It's random. It's like it's legitimately from a throw of a dice. It's at the mercy of a dice. Like if your character dies or lives, or does a certain amount of damage. So adapting that is a bit difficult because sometimes maybe I think the only way to really adapt that is by playing the campaign yourself and kind of basing it off of that. Kind of like and kind of making a show around that. Kind of like what Legend of Vox Machina did. I've not watched Legend of Vox Machina, but that show is based on the that show is based on the campaign, on the first campaign from Critical Role. So yeah, like it's there's a way of doing that. And that's I think one of the best ways to adapt D&D, like a D&D-esque thing. But that's the thing. You can adapt in so many ways that it kind of blurs your line. It blurs your line as to like what is a D&D adaptation and how you do it. And I think the best way to do it is just kind of, I guess like that, like just make a campaign and make a story out of it. Maybe that's what they did here. I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like that was what they went with here, but I understand why they chose it. It's a pretty big inspiration for a lot of games that we have now. It's just that I don't think that how they did it here is the best way they could have done it. I feel like Honor Among Thieves and definitely maybe Legend of Vox Machina. I think Vox Machina is like the best formula to make a D&D adaptation. Honor Among Thieves uses a lot of the elements from it, just like base elements from D&D. This show may have done it. This episode may have done it, but it didn't feel like that. And that's my real issue with a lot of D&D adaptations. You have to make it feel like D&D. And this one, I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like this specific episode adapted D&D and made it feel like D&D. It just kind of made it feel like a normal fantasy world we were kind of thrust into. So yeah. Next up is Sifu. Sifu is, I think, a really surprising choice to have adapted, because it's not a game that I feel like it's not a game that it's a game that got a lot of press. We covered here on the podcast before it came out. Well, like we in like state of plays and stuff. State of plays and stuff. We didn't actually play it, but or do an episode on it. But we did cover it. We did know about Sifu, and I feel like it's surprising, but I feel like there is a. But I feel like it's a really good one to have adapted, because you could do a lot with its core gameplay features. It's not a hard game to adapt into a show or a movie. And I like it that they animated, and I like that they made this animated and made it seem a lot more like it's how the game looks. Because it works. It just works. This is like if you were to watch us. If you were to watch Sifu playthrough, pretty much. Like it shows you what the game is all about and not really how to play it, but definitely shows you like what the real gameplay, what the gameplay is about. And I like that. I like that about this episode. I think it works really well. But that's all. That's really it about Sifu. I think it used the gameplay elements well, and I feel like this is one of the better adapted. One of the better adapted games that we've had here. Next up is a New World. I know why this one was chosen. This one isn't popular. This game, I don't think, is the most popular thing ever. But the reason why this game was chosen is very simple. This is Amazon's game. What did you want me to what did you want me to say? It's Amazon's game. This is just Amazon's game. Yeah. That's why it was chosen. It's Amazon's game. Personally, I get why. I feel the episode was fine, but it didn't give me a feel what the game was. So yeah. I understand why I chose New World. I don't agree with it. I get it. It's their game. Whatever. They have the rights, they can put it in whatever. And it's specifically for its Eternum expansion. I think we mentioned it before in the Meeting Consumers. What Eternum was, I forgot. Check. Is it somewhere? Adaptation, blah blah. Okay. Am I going crazy? When the fuck? Alright, whatever. Okay. So yeah, like New World. I get why they chose it, and I get why they want to show off Eternum. That's the expansion, like the new expansion. It's the newest expansion, I think. So I get it. I get it, sadly, but I don't agree with them. Of what they went with here. Let's see here. Did Eternum come out soon? Oh, yeah, it came out like so yeah, I understand why they went with this game. But like, why did it like why they went with it? It's because they want to show off Eternum, which released in October or in July. I don't fucking know. October, yeah, October. Yeah, I didn't really hear a lot of good things about it, or I didn't hear even much about it. Other than it's just like your normal MMORPG style game. But yeah, I get why. Just didn't know what to really think about it. Next up is Unreal Tournament. This game series hasn't had a game in a very, very long time. The last time I got a game was, I think, a beta or like an alpha test that came out over 10 years ago. And the only reason, and that game didn't come out because Epic Games, the maker of Unreal Tournament, went on to make Fortnite. That's the entire reason. I know that they eventually made Unreal Tournament skins for Fortnite, but to my knowledge, they have never taken a lot of interest into making Unreal Tournament, into making the Unreal Tournament game that they had turned so a while back into an actual video game. Even though people really liked that beta test, to my knowledge. Unreal Tournament, I think, even like discounting that beta test, Unreal Tournament hasn't had a game in so long. Here we go. Series Unreal. So to my knowledge, Unreal Tournament was made to kind of promote the Unreal Engine and kind of show it off. But that's it. The last game that Unreal Tournament had before its eventual closure, before the canceled reboot, was Unreal Tournament 3, which came out in 2007. I think that Epic chose this because it wants to see what if people want Unreal Tournament to come back, and I think that's why. I think that's why they. That's why they brought back this. Like, they brought in skins for Unreal. From Unreal Tournament in Fortnite to see how many people bought it. To my knowledge, haven't seen those skins ever. So, yeah, I should prove it. And I don't know how good. I don't know what people like ever liked this episode. But yeah, interesting choice. I think it's made to test the waters and to see if anyone wants to have an Unreal Tournament episode, like an Unreal Tournament game, or for them to finish that game. I think it's in Epic's best interest to, I don't know. I don't know if it's in their best interest to really revive the thing, revive the game. I think people liked it, but they moved on to Fortnite, and Fortnite makes them so much money. I think Fortnite makes them so much money. It doesn't matter if they ever bring back Unreal Tournament, or even that other game. I don't think that it's too much of a loss. Like, sure, Fortnite, like, sure, like it'll cost a lot of money probably, but they have a basis down, and I think Fortnite gives them enough money, like earns them enough revenue. They probably have billions in the bank already, tens of billions in the bank already from just Fortnite alone. That I don't know if them sort of giving money to that Unreal Tournament game, if to finish it, would be that much of a would leave that much of a negative impact, because they just recuperate the cost through Fortnite, which sure has a lot of in-game events and stuff that might push stuff back and might cost more money than just might cost money to make, and might give into that loss in revenue. But a lot of Fortnite's revenue comes from skins, which do make them a lot of money. I don't know how the negotiations for those skins go, but I do think the skins make them a lot of money. So yeah, Jesus Christ. I think that Unreal Tournament, maybe it's maybe testing the waters to see if people want to have an another Unreal Tournament come out, or for them to finish the Unreal Tournament game that they had previously. But I don't know. I don't know if that was the best decision, or maybe it is. I don't know. Next up is Warhammer, and I think Warhammer is one of the better one. Again, it's kind of like D&D, but not really because Warhammer has a Warhammer its has its lore. It has its like set lore. You know what Warhammer is. So yeah, like I don't think it's that big of an issue. And obviously this is mainly based on the Space Marine games. So it's based on games from the Warhammer franchise. So I don't mind it as much as being here. I think and Warhammer is pretty popular. So and this episode is regarded as one of the better ones. I agree. I think the Warhammer episode is the best episode from the series. Well, we'll get into that in a bit, but yeah, I think that Warhammer was a very smart choice to have, and it probably didn't cost that much, or maybe didn't take that much negotiation. But yeah, I think I think the Warhammer episode was definitely a smart choice. It's one of the better ones. You can't really fuck up Warhammer, so yeah, I liked it. I know a lot of people did, and it was and it definitely helped because we had Space Marine 2 come out early in the year, 2024. So a lot of people got into Warhammer, and still Warhammer's pretty big. So man, it's had its fair share of games come out throughout the years. So I think Warhammer pretty good choice to receive an adaptation. I think from this little short, I think we should get a full on Warhammer series, Warhammer series, like a show, adapted, like put on whatever fucking streaming service that we want. That I forget. What are the people that made Warhammer again? Give me a second. Oh, who the people that own Warhammer? Here we go. It's main. It's. Is it Games Workshop? Yeah, Games Workshop. Okay. So, whoever at Games Workshop want to work with to make this into a full show, and make an adaptation of a full show for Warhammer, please do it. I would watch it in a heartbeat. I feel like this really showed that we need a Warhammer show, and I hope that Henry Cavill show. I know we're getting the Henry Cavill live action show. At least I think it's live action. I hope it's at least as good as this, or even better. I hope it's better. If it meets this bar, I think we got a good ass fucking Warhammer show on our hands. So yeah. All right. So the next game is Pac-Man. Sort of. We covered this back in the Game Awards episode, but this Pac-Man episode is technically not for Pac-Man. It is for a game called Shadow Labyrinth, which is based on Pac-Man. And it's a Metroidvania type game. Again, we covered it in our Game Awards episode. Yeah, that's on our channel. You can go watch that, or Spotify if you scroll down far enough to, I think, January or something like that. I think that's when it came out. So yeah, but this game, Shadow Labyrinth is what this short is based on. Interesting take. I like it. I think it works with what they were going for. I think it's a bit goofy. I think it's a bit of a goofy take on Pac-Man. Just because of like what it entails and all that stuff, being a horror type, like a horror type Pac-Man short. But it works. I like it. I think it's again interesting take on the franchise. I can't wait to see what Shadow Labyrinth does. We've only gotten that Game Awards trailer. I like Metroidvanias. I hope we see more. And yeah, no. I don't know how they could have done a Pac-Man adaptation, to be frank, but this is certainly a way to do it. Well, I I guess that they knew about Shadow Labyrinth before, and I know that this one caused a bit of a ruckus when it started off. But yeah, I'm glad to see that that people are taking risks with older franchises, older franchises. Jesus Christ, and they're taking these steps to have all these really cool interpretations and visions of what the franchise could be. So yeah, I like what they did with the Pac-Man. I like what Bandai did here with Shadow Labyrinth, and I'm glad that this one was the one that they chose to adapt into Pac-Man. They're probably approached to like to have this because it would have been so bizarre to just have this as like a one-off thing, but yeah. Let's move on to another one, Crossfire. Yeah, fucking damn it. I didn't like this episode. I think Crossfire. I think they could have. I think legitimately, if you swapped this, if you swapped this with Call of Duty, and just like put in Call of Duty characters, I think nothing would have changed. I think Crossfire is such a weird ass thing to put here, because it's just it's just there. It's just it's just an army game. They could have, I don't know if Call of Duty was too expensive or something, but they could have chosen any other franchise. Battlefield, Crossfire. That's the one they went with. The thing is, there's nothing special. There's there's absolutely nothing special about Crossfire that makes it any different from, Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever the fucking games there are, CS:GO. Just like normal shooters, realistic shooters. They could have chosen any of those. Maybe they were too expensive. Maybe they didn't want to have those there. Who knows? But yeah. It's weird. It's a weird choice. I didn't like this choice. This could have gone. I just said that. I was gonna go. Oh, this should have gone on it. But I feel like with this, it's such a weird one to have. I feel like any other game would have been a better choice than Crossfire. I understand it's probably very, very popular with people. I've never heard of it until this show, so yeah, I was a bit weirded out by its inclusion. But maybe other traditional army type shooters were off the table, and they had to go with Crossfire. I don't know. But yeah, and I'll talk about it later, I guess, because I think I think I know what's going on here, and why maybe Activision didn't let them use Call of Duty, even though I think that's what they want to go with, and they have to go with Crossfire. Okay. Whatever. Let's move on to the other one before I get more mad about this. Armored Core, awesome. definitely, I think it's the easiest one to adapt out of the FromSoft games. I'm surprised From Software got even like it got even like this. I feel like it's the easiest one to adapt from here. I think a Souls adaptation would have been a bit hard to do, just because of how that game works. Maybe they could have pulled it off. I think they definitely could have, but I don't know. I feel like this was a safer choice. If they really want to do a FromSoft game, I think Armored Core was definitely the best choice. And hell, this is very Armored Core. This looks like an actual FromSoft game put to life. It looks really difficult, really stressing. I think they adapted this game pretty well from everything, really. So yeah, I like this choice, and I really want to play I really want to play. Fucking hell. I really want to play a Armored Core game. I just I just don't know where to start. And Fires of Rubicon, it's a bit expensive. I'll be real. Fires of Rubicon, bit expensive. Bit expensive. So yeah, but I love the Armored Core episode, and I love how they was adapted. Next up is the Outer Worlds. I feel like this game was adapted well. It's from what I recall from the Outer Worlds 2 trailer from I don't know when. What I recall from it is that it's a lot more jokey. I think in here, yeah, it's a sort of comedy, but again, that sort of it's a little bit of dark in there that adds to the world. So I like that personally. So yeah, and I think it captured the world really well of what the Outer Worlds was. So I like it. I like it. That's really all I want to say about it. Next up is Mega Man. Man, Mega Man could have been a lot cooler, but it's like 9 minutes, and it's like one thing. And I liked in the Mega Man episode that they used the original name of Rock, because in Japan, Mega Man is known as Rockman. I'm not sure why, but he's known as Rockman. I like that. I like that they use Rock, but they never really name dropped Mega Man. But I like that they use. I like that they used that and they made that reference. So this is a bit of a love letter to Mega Man, to every like part of Mega Man, but it's too short, man. It's too short. Next up is Exodus. I don't know why this game was chosen. To my knowledge, it's not made by a developer. That Archetype Entertainment. I don't know this guy. It's such a weird one. I don't know why this game was chosen. This game doesn't even have a Wikipedia article. What is this game? Exodus. This one was one of my least favorites. I don't know what this game is about. They never really told us what this game was even about. So yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. I don't know why they chose this game. If this game isn't even close to coming out, I have never seen any trailers for it. A lot of these games, sure, there's some games here that I've never heard of, but I can tell that they were made by big developers, or at least were big indie titles. Archetype, never heard of them. Exodus, never heard of it. Apparently, it's not even releasing this year. It's releasing it's releasing next year at the earliest. So I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. But yeah, it's such a weird ass one. This is one of my least favorite episodes. So yeah, just because I didn't get it. They didn't tell me anything about what the game was, and otherwise it was just like a normal as like space story with like I like that I used like the time dilation stuff. But after that, I don't know. I didn't really like it. Next up is Spelunky. Cool one that they decided to use, and I like how how it adapted like the death, like I like how it sort of adapted the game where it did use that sort of like, I guess, I don't know if Spelunky's a roguelike in specifically. Check. But I like how it used the game of like how everything is like about every adventure is unique and how they die, and every time they die they go into a new adventure. I like that. I like how they use that in this game. So I like how they use the how they use that. Yeah, it's a roguelike. So yeah, I like how they adapt a lot of its themes, a lot of its gameplay elements into the episode. Aside from that, I think it's a pretty solid episode overall. Pretty solid adaptation. Next up is Concord. Bro, this guy stinks. Okay, Concord. This one I think is a bit ironic. Concord, this episode was probably made to promote Concord and its story and all of that. The game shut down in, I think, 2 weeks. The game lasted 2 weeks. It had its beta. This one was probably gonna be like a big advert for Concord. And the fact that PlayStation got 2 of these fucking adverts is so weird, but whatever. Concord. That was PlayStation's big game. It took front stage. It took the front seat. Not front stage. What the fuck? It was the first shown at like the one state of play, last year, in May or something like that. It was released. It had a beta. It released really soon, and it had a secret level episode that they couldn't scrap. So this one's the most ironic. Again, it's sort of like I think this one I praise its animation just because it used it well. But that's really all I can say. It is such an ironic choice. I get why they chose it, and why they couldn't back down from it. But goddamn. Such a weird choice, and I think it's ironic in hindsight of what happened, because this game shut down before legit 3 months before this episode came out. It was such ironic. It's such an ironic time, and this is like the last piece of Concord anything we're ever gonna get. So yeah. And the episode is like what I said. It's like what I want to say is that it's like Marvel space. It's legit like bootleg Guardians of the Galaxy. That's like the best way to describe it. It's again, I praise it for being bright, but it's like straight ripped out of Guardians. This game is just Guardians the game when we have the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which didn't sell as well, but it sold better than Concord. So yeah. Next up is Honor of Kings. This one is made by Timmy Studio Group, or whatever the hell its name is. This one. This studio is owned by Tencent. Which is I feel like a Tencent game was inevitable, but it wasn't going to be League of Legends. It wasn't going to be League of Legends. We have Arcane. So, Honor of Kings is definitely a choice. I like the episode personally, but it's definitely a choice. But I feel like if there was going to be a Tencent game, might as well choose one that would have been that would have given us an interesting story. And I feel like the story they gave us was interesting. So, gotta give it props for that. Anyways, I think the Honor of Kings episode did well, and I feel like it kind of sold the setting a little well, where it's like it's Chinese techno future, but kind of like it's like techno future using elements from like the past, like from from the with the aesthetic of ancient times. I think that works really well, but I think it sold the setting well. I don't know what the game is about. I'm pretty sure it's like a MMORPG. So yeah, yeah, or MOBA, multiplayer online battle arena. Whoops. So yeah, cool. Anyways, and last up is PlayStation. I think they could have gone in so many different ways. It's like with this episode, I feel like they tried to do, they tried to. What they tried to do was something like Astrobot in a way, where it was gonna be all these PlayStation like things and all that, and this episode reads like a major advertisement for PlayStation. I feel like if they just did Astro, I feel like it would have worked a lot better. I think they could have had so much potential. The episode had so much potential, and it was always going to be an advert for PlayStation. But this just feels like an extended ad for PlayStation. That's what this one feels like. It's just, I think, my least favorite episode, just because they had so much potential and they wasted it all completely. It's just a bunch of PlayStation games smacked together in there with a realistic setting in New York City. That's it. That's it. I'll get to it later with my next point, the plots. So this show has a lot of different plots and stuff. Different, like, again, it's an anthology. There's a lot of different things going on for it. So, yeah. What did I think about it? Let's move on. Let's go into the characters. So I think a lot of the characters, a lot of them are pretty well written. In like the best ones, like for example, the Armored Core episode, Keanu Reeves' character, I think is well written, pretty well written. But I feel like some of them in some of the episodes are way shorter. Some of them kind of speed ran their sort of moral and stuff. Like in the Mega Man episode, I think a lot of them do work. Like in the Pac-Man episode, again, Armored Core, Warhammer. Unreal Tournament had a pretty cool character work with the robots and stuff. New World was a bit goofy, but I like the characters in there. Concord was Concord. Spelunky again. I think the Spelunky episode almost fell into the trap the Mega Man episode did, where it tried to speedrun the moral, but I think it didn't. I think it barely dodged the bullet. Sifu, I think, did it really, really well. I think that one's characters were written pretty well. Honor of Kings, I think that one's one of the better written characters in the entire show. Outer Worlds, it is character writing pretty well. I like the character writing, a lot of them, but in some of the shorter episodes, like I like Mega Man, I feel like it really, really suffered because it was, again, 9 minutes, and not even 9 minutes. I counted. So the intro is like 2 minutes, and so is the credits. So it's legit. So you can remove 4 minutes from every single episode. The Mega Man episode is 5 minutes long of actual content, and when they tried doing that episode, was really quick. I didn't really like it. And don't get me started on the PlayStation episode. The PlayStation episode, its characters are so bad, like so bad. I do not like the characters in the PlayStation episode. Again, the characters are just like, oh, I like PlayStation, like something like oh wait, they It's like it's legit just a PlayStation fangirl and stuff, and it goes on like it's a giant PlayStation advert. Like the girl's like, oh, I had all my memories with PlayStation. Like, come on, be real. I I I didn't like the characters in the PlayStation one. So like, the worst one was like the robot voiced by Kevin Hart. I didn't even know it was Kevin Hart. I thought that was like some other guy. I don't even know who, but I did not know it was Kevin Hart. So fucking annoying. I get what they were going for here, but still, it worked. It's annoying me. I feel like Kevin Hart's voice, I think, gave it a bit more than what it needed for that character to really like seem annoying but not obnoxious. I think it was trying to be both, but I think Kevin Hart's voice definitely pushed it over the edge of it being actually annoying. I feel like that's what Kevin Hart's voice really did for that robot. God damn it! I don't like the PlayStation 1 at all. And I think it's like the stories. I think some of the stories in the show are pretty good. I think the plots are the ones that suffer the most. It's not the characters. I think the characters do sometimes work really well, but a lot of the stories they tell in the show just aren't very very underdeveloped. The ones that do work, again, Sifu is one of the best adaptations here. Unreal Tournament. I don't know how accurate Unreal Tournament is to the actual games, but I think it works really well. New World is kind of funny. I didn't expect that. Pac-Man, again, interesting choice. Warhammer, I think it works really well. Armored Core, again, I think that one works really well. Outer Worlds, it's a lot more character focused, so more of its places in that area. But I like it. I like how they wrote its characters. How this guy would do anything and would do anything for this girl, and the girl kind of gets like goes a bit crazy for the company, and how like we see how it affects him and how he can't lie. Like I like that about the Outer Worlds episode. The Mega Man one again suffers from being too short. Exodus just wasn't really interesting. I didn't care for its plot. I do agree that I do agree that using like the time dilation stuff, I think is interesting and a really interesting plot point, but how it actually used it wasn't the best. I feel Concord. I don't like the Concord characters or story. I feel like the Concord episode just started to explain itself to such a high degree that everything suffered in the episode because of it. So yeah. PlayStation just fucking sucks again. Its entire plot line is just like this girl like it's a PlayStation fan and learns to be creative because of PlayStation and all that shit. Like, god damn it, I don't care. It's all a giant PlayStation advert, and like when she gets like a guy tells her to put on a headset or something, and it like unleashes her creativity with PlayStation, and she goes at the end she goes to like this other like cyberspace or cyber universe or whatever the fuck, and it's like, oh, it's all PlayStation. Like, what the fuck? Come on. I think that the Dungeons and Dragons episode was a bit too short for its own regard, even though it was a bit, I think over 10 minutes. I think it was too short for the story it wanted to tell, and it definitely speed ran through a lot. So yeah, I don't know. And a lot of the episodes in this show end like at the midpoint, when it's about to get interesting. I think a lot of them end open end. A lot of them are open ended. Not what I would call, even though you rush through to that point, you leave it open ended. I feel like I feel like you should have told a complete story instead of trying to leave it open ended for I don't know what. Maybe these shorts are meant to be sort of pilots for what for like a series or something. Even though some of these don't. Sifu, I think, is again an excellent at Sifu, Warhammer, and Armored Core are excellent examples of just short stories, short films telling one story, and Outer Worlds too. I feel like they're great examples of that, but a lot of them are really open ended, and so is Honor of Kings. I think Honor of Kings is a really good short story, but a lot of them again are just open ended. So that's my biggest gripe about some of these is that they're just really open ended, and again, some of these are just really really uninteresting, like Crossfire and Exodus. They are painfully uninteresting stories that really, really, really could have used maybe more writing, or maybe just swap them out for other games. So yeah, it's the actual stories. Some of them are interesting, some of them are not. Some of them are hits, some of them are misses, some of them have pros, some of them have cons. I don't know. I feel like there was just like it's a big battle between both sides, and I don't know if a lot of the episodes were written by the same people. Maybe they want to tell a story but ran out of time. But I feel like if season 2 has longer I think season 2 needs longer episodes. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I guess at a maximum of 25. To tell a full story. I think that's like the best way they could take it. Because how it's going right now, I don't know. I don't know if it really works. And speaking of how it's going right now, let's talk about the future. So, I think the future for this is very bright. They could go in many, many different directions with this show. And that's many different games. I know that recently it was found out, or well, the directors of the show told us that there were 2 episodes scrapped from this from the first season of Secret Level, and that was a Half-Life episode and a Doom and Halo crossover episode. So I understand why Half-Life was, and a lot of people understand why Half-Life was canceled, but why that episode was canceled, and that was because because I guess Valve didn't want people to think that Half-Life would come back at some point, and we would get a Half-Life 3 at some point. So they quietly shut that down. But the Halo and Doom crossover one, I feel like that's like a perfect example of what this show should have been. A celebration of games. Halo and Doom are both under Microsoft, and Microsoft told them no. That's like the why would Microsoft ever tell them no? It's such a weird thing. It's like perfect timeline because Doom the Dark Age is coming out. Halo just had is going through a rebrand pretty much. And both are legends of video games, and it would have been really cool to see a crossover like that. And Secret Level is the perfect way to do crossovers like these because it's a short. It's not like a big video game. So yeah, I think season 2 has a lot. I think season 2 definitely needs to improve on some things. Not mostly about its game choice, about what games it chooses to adapt, because I feel like you can do interesting things in a lot of games. Some of them are written a bit uninterestingly, like Crossfire, but I feel like some of them that I could have chosen were a bit better, and I feel like I hope that next season has different games. I don't know. I'm not sure if they ruled out the possibility of there being sequels to episodes here. I'm not sure, but yeah. Hopefully it's mostly different games that they choose here. Maybe, and I was gonna say about so it's like PlayStation having like Xbox on wanting to put some of their games here, or why Activision didn't want to, is because Activision is owned by Microsoft. and maybe this show was very much backed by, it was backed a lot by Sony and PlayStation, so maybe that's why Microsoft backed off. But thing is, like, we know that the Doom and Halo episode are written. It's written. It's there, and I see a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people coping back when this was announced. Oh, this was revealed that they could save it for a separate for an episode on Doom and Halo respectively. Well, we're not gonna need it. We're getting neither because Microsoft told Amazon, no, you can't make an episode based on these two franchises. So we're not getting any. I hope that the backlash, maybe Microsoft sees the backlash that they got for declining this. This would have been a legendary episode to see, and maybe it goes back. Maybe it's back for season 2. Who knows? But yeah, I hope that one would be a bit longer. But yeah, I hope that one, if it does come back at any point in time, I hope that it's a longer episode, like on the same level as like I Crossfire. That one was a long ass episode for no fucking reason. Or the Concord one, like I think the ones that were good were short, and the ones that were kind of iffy were really, really long. I don't know how that works, but yeah. Anyways, I hope that the next one is a bit better, and those are my main complaints. I feel like Secret Level is an interesting concept with a lot of pros, but the cons are definitely apparent with fast pace, with a really fast pace that works against it due to its short runtime, and overall some of the stories being rather uninteresting, which is why I'm going to give the first season of Secret Level a B tier. It's just right there. B. It's good, but it has a lot of bad that dampens the series a little bit. So yeah, that is my that's my thoughts on Secret Level. So what did you guys think about Secret Level? Leave in the comments below. All our socials on the descriptions. I put socials on Spotify, and I fixed it because I don't know if I mentioned this in earlier episodes, but I fixed it. So now the Spotify link now that the MediaFace Spotify link is replaced by the D8 Entertainment YouTube link in on Spotify. So it'll link you to the YouTube instead. So it's interchangeably. The descriptions do differ between both, but only a minor difference. But yeah, follow our socials. If you're on Spotify, follow us. If you want to see more, rate us if you think we're good, or rate us if you think we're bad. I don't fucking know. I'm not your dad. If you're on YouTube, subscribe if you want to see more. Like if you liked it. Dislike if you disliked it. I'm stealing that from somewhere from Mudahar. And share around if you think it's worth sharing. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.